Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of The Blacklist. Another great episode. In this episode, it deals with human smuggling, in a sense of not necessarily human trafficking. These are people who are trying to escape their respective situations, either because their countries are war-torn, maybe it's just they're looking for a better future in a different country like the US or something like that, you know, the American dream, per se. But, basically, this is an operation that Reddington used to be fall under the purview of his business, but subsequently, since Kate dismantled his business, someone else has taken it up. That being the Kilgannon family, who kind of took over the operation. But the thing is, them running this operation, they don't handle it as smoothly or as smartly as Reddington. Because with Reddington, yes, he made a business off it, he profited off of it, but the fact of the matter is, this was about helping other people as well. Yes, not everyone he transported were innocent people just looking for a new start. Some of them were most likely criminals. I mean, that just comes with the territory. But then nevertheless, it's a situation where he did some good with the whole situation. I mean, and obviously it makes sense. Of course he would do that, and it kind of plays into this episode because Dembe was in that type of situation, you know, before Reddington kind of saved him and everything. So it's actually kind of interesting because it's like you've seen Kate dismantle his operation, and this episode kind of shows you that there was good, that there are consequences for Kate doing what she did. I mean, because for Kate, she was so hurt, she was just so mad, she wanted to protect Liz that she was willing to dismantle everything. Because in her mind, it's just like Reddington, it didn't matter anymore for her, you know. It's just, so it's like she, you know, maybe she knew that that was going to happen, but for her it was like that was an okay consequence if it meant taking down Reddington, you know. It's just maybe for her, like the person who was so connected with everything Red did, that basically she got tunnel vision when it came to this, you know, that whole situation last season. So she was so focused on revenge, not only for what he did to her, but once again, try to get Liz away and everything. So there's that. So in this episode, we had Denbei going undercover, and you see that moment ready to be like, no. Denbei's like, it's already set in motion. I just got to do it. It's like, no, don't do it. It's like, I'm not about to have you go in that situation. It's like, well, you saved me, and I know that you would want me to save other people from a similar situation because, you know, I know that's because it's what you are. He's like, fine. He's like, and Denbei's like, if anything goes wrong, he's like, it won't go wrong. He's like, but if it goes wrong, he's like, don't worry, I'll take care of your family. And it's like, okay, Denbei's like, okay, thanks, but that's not what I'm asking. Who's going to take care of you? And it's like, it's just like, I love that, like, relationship. And sadly, things didn't go down correctly because Denbei was trying to stick up for a little girl who was being separated from her parents, but it got him pistol whipped in the face. So, but they were trapped in a truck that locks off air. And so the whole time, it's like, you know, he's trying to calm down some of the people that were in there. One guy in particular is trying to smash his way out, but it's like you're using up more air, put more carbon dioxide in here, and that's eventually what's going to kill us, not running out of air first. But that guy kind of says, like, oh, you know, there's a different way of doing this. And he starts suggesting, like, oh, why don't we kill people, in particular the older people, so that everyone else can live. And Denbei's like, that's messed up. Are you going to tell me? So you're going to be willing to kill her, look her in the eyes as you take her life away just to save your own life and everything. He's like, if we're not going to kill anyone. If we are going to die, we're going to die together. We're not, you know, because that's a thing to live with too. Like having like, you know, survive by knowing that you took someone else's life, you know. So, and even Denbei is like, even if you did do that, which I'm not gonna let you do anyway, but even if you did do it, you'd run out of air eventually anyway, so you still be in the same situation, just because it's like the way he's the most talkative, the more active, he's using up most of the air. If anything, logistically, just from an asshole standpoint of view, it's like Denbei could have easily killed you first because you were the one using up the most air. But he was even teaching the girl to kind of slow her heart rate down so that she wouldn't be in any trouble. But luckily, when it was all said and done, everyone walked away from the situation happy. The little girl got, you know, eventually reunited with her mom and dad. She completely made a very nice recovery. Because going back to this whole thing with the Kilgannons, his dad, like, now Arthur, the father, like, he passed on the operation to Colin. Now, Colin's the one that's been making the mistakes. He's been piling as many people as he wants to onto boats and everything like that. That's why he shot the mechanic dude at the beginning, because the mechanic dude was about to reveal to Arthur, like, He's like, because he's like, no, I only did it because you told me. And then he shot him before he could finish because that guy was about to rat him out in front of his dad about like how he wasn't handling this thing. Because in his mind, Arthur's like, no, my son, obviously business has been booming. It's because he hasn't been taking the necessary precautions. And it's something Dembe had talked about. Like, he understands what it's like to be treated as livestock. And that's what Colin was treating these people as, livestock. It's like, yes, it sucks that they died, but it's like, it sucks because they died before they could pay. That was the biggest issue. But it's like, ultimately, you know, because ultimately it all came down to him. And I bet you Colin knew on some level it was his fault. That's why he brought that mechanic in there, because he needed someone to blame for what happened. So, and when Reddington pointed this out to Arthur, he approached Colin and told Colin, all right, forget it. I'm not letting you do this. I'm taking back Operation. Like, he's like, basically, he always had a little bit of darkness in him. And it's like, I knew that, I thought this job would help kind of set you straight, but it's like, no, apparently it's not. So he was about to cut him off. And Colin ended up killing his own dad for it. But karma caught up to him because Raymond, like, got him. I mean, he actually kind of double taps him in the episode, so it's kind of like double karma, because not only did he kill his dad, but Red's like, I'm gonna put a bullet in your mom's head, and he's like, go ahead, I was gonna kill her anyway. It's like, wow. And she's like, and Red's like, I'm sorry. And she's like, and the mom helps him out. It's like, not only did he kill your husband, he was also telling Reddington to go ahead and kill you because he was planning on doing it anyway. So I don't know whether Reddington did that on purpose like that, just a bullet from each parent, or not. Either way, I don't think, they still don't know about like him killing his dad, but still, you know, maybe some twisted, terrible way, poetic justice. But yeah, I mean, it all kind of worked out in the end. I did, like, it was kind of a nice situation of like how, when it was all said and done, like, there were the people that were with Dembe in that particular truck, because that was like super messed up, because it's like, oh, once the operation was blown, drivers were told to drive the truck somewhere and just leave them abandoned. It's like, that is, once again, treating these people like they weren't people, like they were just livestock or animals. And it just, you know, and I think in this particular, I mean, some people, like, animals don't even get treated that badly. In some cases, sadly, they do, but like, they get treated like they're nothing. Like, they're just objects. Ultimately, I think is like the best way to kind of describe how they treated people. So, like I said, ultimately it was all said and done. I did like, it was kind of aspect that Cooper brought up from the very beginning. He's like, okay, we'll help you with this situation to stop all the like senseless deaths with this trend, like, you know, these people trying to find a new place, a new start, but we're not going to help you rebuild your operation, which Reddington's like, that's okay. But Cooper at the end was like, oh yeah, you know, we're not having any jurisdiction, so we can't do anything if they were stopped by, you know, some group with arms. So basically, Reddington and them showed up, and you see Rustler kind of smile, just because this meant like they could do something about it. So now, does this mean that Reddington's taking back over full control of that operation? I don't know. Maybe that's, I mean, they never really directly said, but it does seem like the window is open for him to do that if necessary. So I think after this particular situation, he's going to do that. I'm sure Dembe would kind of back him up on that too. So I know, I really appreciate there was a line earlier when Haran was talking to Dembe about the little thing he was putting in his mouth, and he's like, and Dembe explained how it works. Like, oh, how'd you know that? It's like, well, I did some training here. It's like, oh, how many languages do you speak? Like 5? It's like 8. He's like, you know, aside from, you know, you killing people and everything, you're like a role model to me. I'm like, that's so good. Because Dembe's kind of like the soft-spoken, like, in a sense, almost like the soft-spoken giant, but not necessarily like in a that. But he would be represented almost like the kind-hearted giant in a sense, because he's very soft-spoken. He doesn't speak a lot, but when he speaks, you need to listen, because he always like has very sage-like advice. So, oh, and like I said, it'd probably be something where Red does kind of take over operation again. But I also love the aspect of why, like, he wants to like save Dembe so badly, because Dembe is his friend, probably basically his only friend, really. And like, you know, he's like, and he asks Liz, "Is like, do you know why Dembe has stayed by me all these years?" It's like, could you say this? Like, it's like, no, it's because Dembe's dedicated his life for Reddington, because he saw who Reddington was. Reddington's like, I was young and just so angry, didn't trust anybody, just was so caught up in my own world, so surrounded so much darkness. Dembe recognized that and wanted to be that light in his life, to show them that there is another way, you know? And no matter what Dembe does, like, everything Dembe ever does, it's for to keep Reddington too crowded in that shadow, because Dembe had to cross the line. But ultimately, I think everything he's ever done has been either to protect Reddington or those close to Reddington, or at the very least, we're taking out bad people. So it's never like a situation like, oh, we're taking out good people, you know? So I think that's a situation in that regard, because it's like, well, you could argue that Dembe's in the darkness too, but I guess compared to, you know, Reddington's whole situation, it's like, Dembe shines as brightly as the sun, you know? But for him, it's just like everything Dembe does is to make sure that Reddington doesn't go too far. And that's always been a constant throughout the entire series, has been that. Because all he's ever done is advise Reddington, like, if you should do this, you should do that. Because for him, and it's something that Reddington says, that basically Dembe is trying his best to save Red's soul, for getting him to not go too far down the rabbit hole. That basically, that, you know, Reddington's like, that a man like me can hope that maybe there is some salvation, that hopefully one day, that just even hope that I could become a man like Dembe, that shining light, you know? So it was just a beautiful sentiment of realizing, like, that's the reason why Reddington cares so much for him, because Dembe is his friend. That's all. Like prior to that, because Reddington didn't trust anyone, he never got close to anyone. So everything with him and Dembe isn't just loyalty based. That's his friend, only person he can rely on. Especially, like, once again, in the aftermath of K, everyone else is business partner. He jokes and laughs with everyone, but Dembe is the one that's constantly by his side, is always there through the thick and thin of everything, you know. So, like I said, it was just kind of a beautiful sentiment. And it's kind of an interesting thing. I'm gonna admit, at the beginning of the episode, it happened at the beginning of the episode. You had the whole Tom and Liz aspect of, like, yeah, last week they got married, kind of living it up and everything, and they let Reddington know, which you see Reddington kind of like a quick shock for a second, but then he's like, oh, happy for, because he's like, no matter what happens, yeah, me and Tom definitely haven't seen eye to eye. We still don't see eye to eye with this current situation, but we can't let Liz know about that. But it's like, you know, the fact of the matter is, I know he's happy that you're happy, and I know that he'd do anything for you because he loves you. So I do believe that isn't him just putting one front. That is just like what Reddington really believes. He is happy for them and everything, which is something interesting. While they were having that conversation at the beginning of the episode, I was like, what do you mean second time? And then it clicked. I was like, right. I legitimately forgot that they were married before. I don't know how I forgot that. I guess because it's been so long since I've seen the beginning of the series, because it's like, that was season 1. They were married and everything before the truth came out. It's like, come on, that feels like a lifetime ago, especially over the course of this series. And I was like, right. There was the whole, like, him working for Reddington technically, and then eventually Berlin doing the whole, like, being married to Liz situation. But nevertheless, I was like, right, that was just kind of interesting. I was like, how could I forget about that? That's so interesting. I don't think I even thought about that when they trying to get married in season 3. I don't even think it crossed my mind then. It's not like, oh, they're getting married for a second time. I think I legitimately completely forgot about that whole aspect. I mean, because it's almost technically getting married, because this time she's marrying Tom knowing the real him, even though he doesn't really go by his real name anymore. I mean, well, he really never has. Once again, that kind of deals with the whole, like, Blacklist redemption thing, so it's just kind of like, let's just, anytime that, a Blacklist, I'm sorry, I'm a fucking idiot, I apologize, but, if the episode couldn't get any more depressing, well, things take a turn for the worse, because Lena and Tom end up tracking down Pete. And as expected, Pete, in fact, didn't have anything to do with Nick dying. In fact, he was actually almost killed until Nick showed up. So if Nick had not showed up to get killed, well, Pete would have died too. I figured the whole injured hand thing, I was like, yeah, that couldn't be from fighting Nick, because for one, we saw what happened to Nick, and the person who killed him didn't get hurt, and I was like, yep, he's on the run from the people in particular. So if anything, he's like, this is all Tom's fault. But because he had put it in, like, the Kodak, like, I think checking, like, government files about this particular body, but it's like someone, this guy in particular, whoever he is that captured them in the episode, ended up figuring it out. How? I don't know. Maybe, like, this particular DNA sequence, this particular body was always, like, red, like, marked to be like, hey, whenever, if any alarms go off about this particular body. So that must mean that like that's the question, like how do so many damn people know about this body, yet we as the audience and Tom and no one else knows anything about it? I'm sure Dembe does, but no, he definitely does. But it's like, how is that possible that every other criminal knows about it? Because this guy wants it, because it's like, do you know how much people will pay for this body? Like, it's like, and even, it's like, what is this body? What does it represent? Sadly, this ended with Lena and Pete died. Side note, I think I want to make a correction, because it's something like, because of the whole tattoo thing, I just assumed that Pete was her brother. I don't think so, because of the whole conversation, because I threw this up like the last time Lena came up in the conversation of like, oh wait, Pete's a con artist. He's actually already married. I was like, why would that come in matter to his sister? But it's like, no, because the whole conversation started with her siblings, but then maybe it's because he's part of the family now. Like, I'm thinking Pete's actually her husband. I could be wrong, but either way, it super sucks. I was kind of hoping Lena would survive it. Like, I had a feeling Pete was going to be the first one to die. I didn't know, like, there was no winning that situation, because he was going to kill two of them and only needed one of them alive anyway. So the sad thing is he got that false sense of security to Lena and made her seem like, oh, you can get away, and then shot her while she was running away. So that super sucks. So now Tom's in quite the bind. He's like, oh yeah, like the fact of the matter is this isn't a fair fight, because it's like, you caught me off guard, so that's why you got me. But, so then, and Tom kind of plays into the role a little bit. Like, whoa. I work for Reddington. If you want him, I can set up this whole deal. Which, Reddington already made it clear what would happen if he set up the deal. He's like, I will find this guy, I will kill him, and get the body back. Which I'm sure Tom's going to try and take advantage of that. He knows that Reddington's going to show up, kill the guys, but probably during this scuffle, run away with the body, which might coincide with what we saw at the beginning of the season. Once again, I still don't think it's them killing Tom. It's the fact of the matter is, I don't know. Like, it's definitely not going to end that way. Which this still could end with Tom dying, but once again, that could be someone else. Maybe Tom just gets severely injured, maybe ends up in a coma or something, which Reddington can take advantage of. Be like, I don't know what happened. Oh, something about something Tom got mixed up in. Dembe had his body somewhere, disposed of it. Oh yeah, maybe something like that. Maybe it ends with Red, because Reddington, like, once again, it's not even plausible for Reddington to kill Tom at this point. Even if it's to keep his mouth shut about this particular situation, he can't. Now that they're married to, and like he sees how happy Liz is at the beginning of the episode, no way he's going to do that to his daughter. He loves her too much, and her happiness means so much to him. So, in retrospect, I guess that's why he also wants to keep Liz around too. Now that I think about it, not wants to keep her around. Like, I think maybe he sees a little, he sees that light in her too. Once again, like, he has Dembe to represent his light. Well, he has all this darkness, but he knows that Liz kind of has it too. Which is one reason why I've kind of talked about it in the past. I was like, I don't think Red is all that happy about Liz becoming more like him. Like, oh, this is your plan? Oh, I kind of like it. And it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. And it's like, what? You're fine that this whole thing was like a roundabout way of stealing something from someone? Okay. So it's like, I don't think Red would be too fond of the idea of Liz becoming too much like him. He wants her to stay the way she is, an honest, caring person. He doesn't want her to change. Well, though, like I said, this season's flirted with the idea of her becoming a little bit more like Red, that there is more of Red in her than even she'd like to admit, or acknowledge, so. Like I said, ultimately, we will see what goes down. Also, ended up finding out that guy that was warning Lena, apparently dude works for Reddington. So, Reddington's been keeping his eye on Tom this entire time, and now he knows Tom's been taken too. So, I don't know. It's definitely going to be very interesting to see what goes down in the next episode. Because we're also going to be doing all this while trying to avoid letting Liz know anything about, oh yeah, Tom got kidnapped. What? Why? Something Tom got mixed up in, or, maybe try and figure this all out before Liz figures out that Tom's been missing. It's just, oh, I wonder where Tom is. So, like I said, I'm very excited to see what goes down in the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, love life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.